Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life is celebrating its 30th year of ministry this year, 30 years of transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. New Life Live is dedicated to helping you in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Well, hi, everybody. It is me, and so glad that you're with us here today. Milan Yerkovich is joining me with Chris Williams. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Great to be with you.
Doing well. Ready for another show.
Yeah, we're excited. Glad to be with you, Steve.
We were doing another show, and Chris's family was here. And, Chris, I'd like you to just, you've really done an amazing job with your life, and you're helping a lot of people. What was one thing that your mom instilled in you that maybe if every mom would instill in their kids, this would be a better world? What would you say that would be?
I would say that, especially after my parents' divorce, she really leaned in heavily to her faith and made our faith, made our followership of Christ and our participation in the church really central to our lives. And the other thing is that she just has a tremendous resiliency in her that she just doesn't quit. She will do anything it takes to make life work. And she got into her own actual healing process, counseling process as well. So she just modeled for me, like when life is really difficult, when life is really challenging, that you lean heavily into your relationship with God, you engage in your community of faith, in your church, and you do whatever it takes. And I can really say that is just such a shining example to me and things that I can look at as part of my heritage.
Now, when she told me the reason she leaned into her faith was not the divorce, it was realizing how difficult it was being your mother. Does that affect you at all? I'm curious about that.
As a result, I've been in my own therapeutic process.
That's good.
But actually, having two boys of my own, I am really blown away of single parenting.
It'd be hard.
It's to all the single parents out there. Yeah. God bless you. Props to you. Whatever it takes, you have my full admiration. And again, any way that New Life can support you, please let us know.
Yeah, we do honor you. We know it is not easy. Well, we're glad you're with us here. 1-800-229-3000. I'm going to go right to the phone. And here we go to Patrick from New York City. Hi, Patrick. How you doing? Patrick, you are on the air, my friend. Is Patrick there or not? Maybe not. I don't know. Patrick, you're on the air. Hey, buddy. Hi. Welcome.
Hi. How are you doing?
Good. Well, I know New York's a long way off. So how can we help you today? What's going on? What's happening?
I'm having a dilemma. My wife and I are two ordained pastors, and we having a dilemma. We were talking about secular love music, if it's okay or if it's right for Christians to dance to secular love music. We're not talking about like a party setting, like if she and I are at home and we want to dance to a special secular love music, if it's okay for us and for us to sit down and listen to them also, because as I said, we're pastors and I need to, because I know the question is going to come up in the church, so
yeah, right.
We need to prepare to answer it.
Well, it's a little bit of a complex answer because of the nature and diversity of music today, but I hope we'll give you some wisdom if you'll just hold on. Music is such a gift from God, and certainly a gift to the psalmist who really calmed his own nerves and those of others with music. But oh my goodness, what a destructive force it can be also. We'll take this break. We'll come right back with more New Life Live. Really glad you're with us here today on New Life.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Well, we're back. Well, it's always great when we get a phone call from a pastor who's trying to do the right thing. And Milan, Milan's been a pastor. I am a teaching pastor. Milan, you want to get us started on your thoughts about secular music? I will just make one comment before you do. Secular music 30 years ago, not quite the same as some of the rap lyrics that I hear today. But Milan, your thoughts?
Well, it was precisely that, Steve. There's a lot of enjoyable things in the world, be it movies, theater, drama, a lot of things that are written by people who are not Christian that we still enjoy and we watch and we participate in. And, I always pay attention to what kind of music it is, and I always turn off certain kinds of music that is overtly discrediting to God, overtly discrediting to life and love the way God would suggest that love is supposed to be. And so we're simply, my wife and I love to dance. But what the thing is, and I'm not very good at it, but I do it anyhow. And so we have a lot of fun, but we always pay attention to what it is we're listening to. And if it's not a good song, if it's not a great vibe, if it's not a good atmosphere, if it's a club that's, like Steve said, is kind of raunchy and really not good, then I'm not going to go there at all. And we're just going to dance where we can to love each other. And it's about our romance. It's about our fun. It's about our marriage.
Yeah, I agree. And, my wife and I, we do, some of you know our routine on Thursday. We take dance lessons, and then we go to therapy. And it's kind of a nice little combination.
Well, that's a really good combination.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and both are therapeutic. But here's the thing. We don't listen to music that is disrespectful of God or people. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that is just so astounding to me is here are all of these liberal influences in Motown, in Hollywood, in Nashville, and yet some of them are producing some of the most demeaning lyrics of women that you could ever possibly imagine. And I just think we it's just like anything. We have to help people be discerning and to take a stance against music versus horrible music. I think that's a mistake because there's a lot of great music out there. That's my thought. Chris, you want to weigh in on this at all?
Yeah, there is a regular practice that when I get home from work, we do a dance party. We love music. Music is happening in our house. I'm married to a musician, and so I just think that music it paints our world in color, especially when we're living in black and white. And so we love the arts. But just to affirm all of this is that we're taking in information calories all the time. We're taking in certain calories of lyrics out there. Right. And we need to be discerning. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We can't pretend that what the caloric intake we're taking into our souls won't affect us. And so just that we also have very clear boundaries about what kind of music, and I'm not talking about genre, I'm just talking about lyrics and feel and where we're going for here. Because if it's a song that fits outside of our value system, or if it's a song that goes against our value system, it's not a part of it.
No, we turn it off.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that is helpful to you. I'm going to send you Take Your Life Back. Maybe it could even help somebody take their life back from really bad music taste. I hope so. Here we go. Let's talk to Jim, Omaha, Nebraska. How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. How you guys doing?
Doing okay. What's going on with you?
I'm going to take you off of this Bluetooth because it kind of echoes a lot.
Okay.
How's that for you?
Yeah. What's going on?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So just the Reader's Digest version of it. Been seeing a young lady for about a half a year now. Things have been real nice and serious. We've got into a real good routine with her and her kids that come from one failed marriage. except for now we have within the last couple of weeks, the father has returned home from a jail sentence, and it has challenged our normal routine, and therefore it has kind of left me in limbo, and being able to identify myself in this relationship still. I know, Milan, I know that you wrote and you do those events on how we love. When I see her, I see more of an avoider, and I pretty much even out across the board on the exception of that aggressive one or that power struggle one was really, really low. And my communication style is very expressive. And I've been able to try to flex around with a lot of different things.
Well, tell us specifically how has his coming out of jail been a challenge to your relationship with your wife? Tell us how that specifically.
No, it's his girlfriend.
I'm sorry, your girlfriend.
Yes, girlfriend. You prophetically speaking.
Sorry.
The challenge has been that it just disrupted the regular routine of things. This last week, everything shifted to a point where I have seemed to be on the back burner as things are picking back up with him and the kids, and they are working those things out. What my question to you guys is, how do I address her, especially with the personality and communication that I am, to someone that is of that nature, without coming across too offensive, but yet not being too passive?
Okay. Before we address that, I think you got to ask the question: is there a chance for reconciliation between the two of them? I mean, that's a bold question that you have to face.
It is a bold question. It's a question that we have traveled down the path with, that I wanted to make sure that it wasn't before we did start pursuing into a relationship. And I do not see or believe that there is from this standpoint.
Well, what does she say? What does she say to you about that?
No, she doesn't. She doesn't want to be with him. It was a lot of things that was in the relationship that she did not want a part of.
Okay. All right. So, Milan, any thoughts here?
Yeah, are they actually divorced, Jim?
Yes.
Okay, so that's important to note. They are officially divorced. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then, it really, the question comes that this man should be with his children. He should have a relationship with them. You're going to, anytime we divorce someone, we have, and we marry another, we have a family that we just left that we still need to be in contact with. And then we have a future family to be in contact with that they have children, they have familial relationships, they got a mom and a dad, and those need to be honored. And it's really dicey to figure out how to balance that whole thing. And what you need to do is sit down with your girlfriend at a quiet moment and just say, where do we go from here? And to try to simply ask her, and Jim, to invite her into a dialogue about how she feels about her husband, her ex-husband being home, how the kids are adjusting to that, and then what if there is the possibility, what might our future be like? And I think it's important to really define that with her.
The other thing I was thinking is that this is a gift to you that this is happening before a potential marriage happens, because you're marrying the whole package. You're marrying the children and the children's father.
Yep.
And so this is the time where you're not just asking, would I like to be married to her? You're asking, do I have what it takes as a man to raise these children as not just a step parent, but as a real bonus to their life, as a gift to their life, rather than demand they respect me, I earn their respect. These are the things that my wife and I went over on our Family Life Today radio program, and if you'll go to their website and click on the programs
I think I heard that message.
Okay.
You guys talked about being a blended family,
Right,
and being
right.
that additional, not being another parent, but
Yeah.
that word you just used, and it just read my mind, and that's that's what
that's just in the
tried to
beginning.
do.
That's just in the
Yeah.
beginning. Then once you're married, then it changes.
It eases
But
to that, yeah.
yeah,
And I
but
want
this
it.
is
I
a great
want-
time
I-
to test
I
all that.
really want them to be a part of their father's life, and I want the father to be a part of their life. I even, I pray for their father, and pray for some deliverance and some changes, that he can be a healthy influence. Because regardless of how far me and the mother goes, there's still a significant role for the original father in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in talking with her, I would just say to formulate 4 or 5 questions for her that bring out her feelings and her thoughts on this, versus have 4 or 5 things that you want to get across. Chris, you have some thoughts on this?
Yeah, Jim, just real quickly, I think that you bring a strength actually to the relationship and the family, and that is structure. You seem to be a fairly, as you said, scheduled, routine guy. But what I would address inside of yourself is acceptance.
Yes.
When life changes in a lot of different ways when you get into a blended family, when you get into these more complex situations, a father coming out of jail. These children are going to be most likely in a relational and emotionally chaotic place.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to disrupt schedule and expectations all the time. So increasing your ability to accept reality for what it is and not what you want it to be, I think will be really important to the health and sustainability of the relationship.
And that is a very important point that you pull out, because that would be something that in the past I've traced back to a problem all the way that stems back in the early childhood. I mean, like before I can remember childhood. That acceptance and that rejection thing has been a constant plague among my life.
Yeah.
And I've seen it. But it's easy for me to identify it. It's still sometimes a struggle being able to work with it, to build up that standard against it. In situations like this, do you have maybe like 2 or 3 points of what may be some good practices or things to do? I know the Bible, it teaches us to think on treasurable things, so to speak, think on things that are good and everything. And I've tried that. One thing that I did say I'm going to try, I'm going to create 2 boxes, and one I'm going to seal it up with just probably about a hole big enough to slide a piece of paper in, and the other one is probably just going to be like a shoebox that I can open up. And all the good things I know about me and her and our relationship and the kids' relationship, I'm going to put in that good box.
Yeah.
So that when my mind is plagued with like, man, I feel like I'm on the back burner here, I could take another sheet of paper and write those things down, put it in that sealed up box, taking every thought captive, and literally in the physical world, put that thought in prison in that box, and then find or just pick a slip out of the other box.
Hey, I think that's...
Is there anything else that you may...
Yeah, I think... to jump in here, because we're limited on time. But with that said, you're on the right track. Jim, it's recognizing that inside of you, when you feel like you're on the back burner, there is a message in you that tells you that you're not enough, that you're less than, that somehow that you're replaceable. That is called shame, and it's working against your soul. It is enemy number 1 of your soul and your relationship. So you're right. You got to get rid of that, and then support yourself in your relationship with yourself, with God, and with others to remind you that you are immeasurable, that your value is set, and it's set for eternity, and that it matters regardless of all of the other situations around you. And so strengthening our core with both truth and the grace of God is essentially important.
But we don't. Don't pretend that shame isn't there.
No, not at all.
We talk about it. We don't hide it in a box. We bring it into relationship with God and each other, and that is how we cleanse ourselves of some of these toxic things from the past.
Absolutely.
And just one other thing, be sure, in addition to your box, that you have a buddy that you're talking to, and you're telling him the good stuff, so that when you're in doubt, he can send that back to you.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, Steve Arterburn here, and by the way, donation of any amount will send you understanding and loving a person with an alcohol or a drug addiction problem. Dave Stoop and I put it together, and I'm telling you, it's amazing how many people are addicted to some kind of prescription drugs, and this book is a great prescription for all of you hanging around with them. All right, let's go to, how about we go to Angela from Boston, Massachusetts. Angela, you're on. Milan, Yerkovich, Chris Williams, Steve Arterburn here. How you doing?
I am awesome. You guys just encourage my heart. You're a blessing to this world. A blessing
well, thank you.
all the years.
Thank you.
Thanks, Angela.
Awesome.
Thanks.
What's going on in your life?
I am married to a narcissistic, dysfunctional family, all the stuff that I've learned in this marriage, didn't know about. And I think that's my joy to say I'm happy that God revealed it all to me so I can work on it. But then I'm doing it by myself because everyone thinks I'm the bad one at the end of the day. I heard this young lady on the show earlier saying she went through with her husband and her son, and then everyone thinks she's the bad one, and I felt for her.
Okay. Well, what's the question for us then? How could we help you with this?
The question is, how do I continue loving my husband? I don't want a divorce, but I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
What
does he say? What does your husband say when you ask him for something better that comes from him? What does he say?
He say, I am the one that's causing the problem.
Mm-hmm.
What I do, every time I research something about his behavior, I'll bring it to discuss it with him. And I'll say, have you ever heard about narcissistic? He said, oh, yeah, I heard about it before. I said, well, his background is he was married 3 times. I'm his 4th wife. I didn't know. I found out after we were married.
Now, have you read that stuff about narcissism? Have you read it?
No, I heard about it on radios. And,
okay. Because here's the
Roy
thing.
Master,
If he's a real narcissist and you tell him you want him to hear some stuff about himself and narcissism, he doesn't want to listen to it. He won't listen to it. Yeah.
No.
So we have to let's see. All right. So let's see if Milan and Chris could give us a different strategy other than bringing material to him with a label that he would resist at all costs. Let's start with you, Chris. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, Angela, you're in a painful relationship. Your needs aren't getting met. There's a lack of connection, and so your attempt at being connected to your husband is changing him by diagnosing a pretty high-end mental illness disorder, and by then getting him to see that and then to change. But that's typically not how it works. I mean, most people don't like to be told about all of the problems that they have and need to change. But one of the powers that we have that we don't oftentimes recognize, and I believe it's a superpower, and it's called vulnerability. And it's letting him know very specifically, hey, when you do this, or when you say this, or when you act like this, here is the impact that it has on me. And so when you combine vulnerability of letting him know how he's actually affecting you without trying to change him, and then you can establish a boundary around painful or hurtful behavior, right there, one, you get safe, you get protected, and you give him the best opportunity to change because you're out of the business of changing him.
And that's what I'm doing now. Because his answer to those things you just said is, if you don't like it, leave. He's been putting me out since we got married.
Well, why isn't he leaving?
But I ignore it because,
Why isn't he leaving?
This is the boundaries I'm doing now. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. You leave. and I haven't heard about me leaving since I said that, because now I'm stepping up and standing up.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
what I do leave him by himself. I go step dancing. I go, like right now I'm home today. He's coming in at 4. I did laundry. I cook. By the time he come home, I am out the door before he comes home. I'm busy. So that's where I'm at now. But like you said earlier, it's a painful relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I've tried everything I can think of biblical, and hearing from your program, it's been such a blessing for me. But I am hurting, and I have said that. I bought a book I heard the other day, Married and Lonely. I think it was on this station.
Well, let me jump in. Let me jump in for time.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
For time's sake here, Angela. So,
Yes.
Steve has recently written a book called Take Your Life Back. And I want to encourage you with that mantra, but also with this book, because you've lost your life, including your emotional life, to your husband.
Mm-hmm.
And so it starts with knowing what you feel, what you think, what your actions and your choices, and then owning that, setting boundaries around it, and then building the life that you want. And he's invited to participate or not.
Yeah, and the outcome we're looking for, well, it's never just to avoid each other and to end all connection and conversation. There has to be something better than that. And really, it kind of begins with some kind of common goal that both of you could establish. Maybe you'll find that and take your life back. A lot of people find it at our marriage weekend. We'll tell you something about that right after this.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, Steve Arterburn here, and with me now in studio, Larry Sonnenberg. Larry, talk to us. We are on the air because people support us. We need to encourage them to continue to do so. Take it away.
Okay, 2 things. One is Club New Life. Club New Life is something we have reintroduced. We've got a new thank you gift for joining those 8 books in the Arterburn Wellness Series. And then we also have created a video library just for Club New Life members. And I want to brag on that a little bit because I want to just read to folks some of the titles and who's been recording for us. Because the only way you can get these videos is becoming a Club New Life member. And that is because we want to it's a thank you gift for the folks who are the most consistent, loyal givers to New Life, that really maintaining what we do month in and month out. And that means that people's lives are changing. And that's the whole purpose for all this. So we have things like containing your emotions. Stacy Sadler, one of our network counselors, did that. We had a couple other network counselors do Speaking the Truth in Love, something on anger. We had Milan and Kay do the Comfort Circles. Steve did 9 short videos on trauma. Sherry did some on the brain. We had one, Roots of Sexual Addiction. We had one, Becky, our director of Counselor Network. It's all about, and she did one on faith, one on hope, one on love.
Dr. Amon did some. He was so popular on radio. He did some on the brain.
They're not up yet, but they'll be up in the next week to 2 weeks. His will be up. He did 5 on the brain. Chris did some. Chris did some on the addiction. What was it? Principles of Addiction.
Yeah,
5 principles of addiction.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's just so many different things that we're doing. They're all really good. And we want you to see them. They're a resource that'll make a difference in you. And your giving to New Life will make a difference in us and will make a difference in others who are really the benefactors of all this. Mm-hmm. That's why we're doing what we're doing.
It's all about transformation.
It is.
That's our goal.
$30 a month is what we are asking for on a minimum. Mm-hmm. We have folks that give hundreds of dollars and a couple that give thousands of dollars every month. But we need you just to give what you can give if you can get that $30 or more. Big, big help to us. While we're trying to build that, we're also trying to encourage folks this month, we need a bump. We need somebody to come aboard and give us more than they usually give. We need some of you to give more than you usually give to help us get over a hurdle we have of just trying to stay current with all that we do. So would you please call us at 800 New Life if you can make a one-time gift. Maybe you're a Club New Life member, maybe you're not. Hopefully, some of you will be brand new givers. I'm on a rampage this year. I want to get more people giving to us, people to give for the first time. It's not that painful. It's necessary. And I have been there. I've been where it took a lot of years for me before I gave to a ministry on radio. And I see its importance now, and I give all the time. So
we need you. If you can help us, please call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Steve, can I read one other thing? Because since Chris is here.
Sure, go ahead.
Chris has worked the Every Man's Battle workshops with us.
Yes.
And we had one of those last weekend. And I just wanted to read a paragraph that a guy wrote at the end because it was powerful. EMB has been transformational for me. It's not at all what I expected. It feels like open heart surgery. It's painful, scary, and life-saving. Shame and related wounds have shaped my life, and I didn't even realize it. The process has started, and I want to complete it. I want to live free to be who God created me to be. I no longer want to feel unworthy, flawed, damaged. I want to love deeply and freely because I accept that I am loved deeply and freely. I see the road ahead, but I don't see the end of it. I believe there is more. I just love that.
Well, Larry, I just can't state this enough because I see it. I see it in my life. I see it in my office, is that we are stuck in constant, hopeless, helpless situations where the most important things in life are being taken from us because of our own behavior. Mm-hmm. Whether that be anxiety, depression, a sexual addiction, being related to a sexual addiction. And New Life's ministry is absolutely essential to helping people get into the pathway of God's healing and redemption over and over and over again.
And it doesn't have to be a workshop. It might be going to see a counselor. It might be calling this radio program. It could be one of a number of things.
It could be the books. There are so many different avenues. Yeah. And I've been surprised since being a part of the radio program how many people have told me that there was something that was shared or said on the radio that has been transformative for them.
Yeah. So thanks for giving me the time. I don't want to take away from your callers.
Well, we'll go back to the calls right now, but call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That is the number that you could call to help us continue to help transform lives. Thank you, Larry.
All right.
Let's go to Joyce, Dallas, Texas. Hi, Joyce. Welcome to New Life. How you doing? Hey, Joyce.
Did you call for Joyce?
I did. Hi. How you doing?
I am so happy to talk to you. Yes, I am calling about my brother. He is bipolar.
Okay.
We were raised in church as children, but as a religious, not a relationship with God. So therefore, he has a very, I wouldn't even say a relationship with God. His concept of God is whoever you want him to be. So therefore, trying to help him and me being in a relationship with God the Father and Jesus and the Holy Spirit is almost we don't have any foundation for me to even help him. He also drinks and does marijuana while taking his bipolar meds. He says he stays on them. I have found him a place to stay at for 1 year. That's a Christian-based organization for 1 year free. He will not do it. So my question is, how do I protect myself when he calls? I don't want to answer the phone when he calls, but then I feel so guilty when I don't.
Yeah. Well, another way to look at it is if with you he is so inappropriate that he's just draining the life out of you, to take that call and to stay on that call is actually enabling him to stick with his inappropriate behavior.
Okay.
See, so sometimes you have to set a boundary or a limit so that he gets a message. Not everything you do is acceptable, and you need to change your behavior if you want to have access to me in my time. Milan, you have a thought on that?
Yes, it would help if I knew, Joyce, and we knew, what are you protecting yourself from? If he calls you, what happens? What is? Give me an example of what he does that's harmful.
Well, he will, start out with just something what he's done during the day and blah blah blah, but it always turns back. I'm seeking for something, Joyce. I need help. I'm a mess, and therefore I think I can help him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I believe about myself.
So,
and then
when he calls you, he's basically repetitively saying, "I need help." So he calls you when he's at a down place in his day, and so.
Yes.
And then he keeps saying he needs help, but the help you've provided, he rejects. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's what I told him the last time. Everything I have said, you have totally rejected.
Okay.
You have rejected everything I said.
Okay. Well, and that's where we simply, we need to sound, and this is where I use the word mantra. We have to have a mantra that simply says, I've given you an option, I'm waiting for you to take it. I've given you an option, I'm waiting for you to take it. I've given you an option. It's up to you to take it. When we do talk to him, we're consistent with a singular focus of what he needs to do next. And that way you don't have to be afraid. If you just say, I'm sorry, I can't repeat this conversation over and over again. I need to go now, but you need to take this opportunity you've been given. And because it doesn't sound like he's being hurtful or harmful to you.
No.
Okay.
He drains me.
Yes, it would. And look at Joyce. I want you to hear from us that we get that we be a big drain. But here's the key. You can't help anybody. You cannot help a soul. They have to help themselves. You've been a wonderful sister to provide an opportunity for him. And if he's not taking it, then that is his consequence to bear.
Well, and this needs to be crystal clear. I mean, bipolar disorder is a high-end, a very severe medical condition. You couldn't be his treating doctor if he had cancer or severe diabetes. And so when Milan says you can't help him, he's fundamentally talking about, like, you can't help him. Mm-hmm. You're not his doctor.
Right.
What you can do is point him in the direction of the help that you have provided. So I say that, Joyce, to get you off the hook, and especially that nasty guilt hook that says that you could do more, that you could help him, or that you could cure him.
We'll be back.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Really glad you're with us here. And, Chris, anything you wanted to, you ran right up against the break there. Anything you want to finish there with Joyce on the bipolar brother?
I just think that this is more of an advocacy for everyone out there. When we have a loved one or a family member or a friend that gets diagnosed with, and it needs to be a real diagnosis, a doctor needs to diagnose with a bipolar disorder or a severe mental illness, we have to know that our ability to, quote-unquote, cure or help them is fairly limited as far as the mental disorder itself. But being a loving support of them, absolutely. But pointing them in the right direction is critically important. And we would do this with any other severe medical condition.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me send you Take Your Life Back. I think it'll help you set some of those limits there. And anybody else, 1-800-NEW-LIFE, newlife.com. We've got time for one final phone call, I believe. Let's go to Chris, Los Angeles, KKLA. How you doing?
Hi.
How's it going?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
It's going really well, and I'm so honored to speak to all of you. Please help me.
Okay, we will. What's going on?
I know you. Okay, so I need some input and to sort this out in the proper way to handle this, and then some words of comfort for me as a mother. My husband and I have an adopted 19-and-a-half-year-old daughter who lives at home, and she wants to sleep over at her boyfriend's house that we don't think is right. We're a Christian household. So my husband she's daddy's girl, so she takes more any dialogue. She takes it better from him than from me or me being there. So they went out to lunch. My husband had a talk with her and said that while she's at home, she has to abide by our request, and that is that she cannot be spending the night at her boyfriend's house where, you know, the mom lives and stuff, but she's in and out going over to her own boyfriend's house. So, and abide by our request and abide by the agreement. So that would be like coming home. We let her set her time, her curfew, so she comes home. She uses our car. So there's agreements and requests that we have of her, and she doesn't do those. But more importantly, it's the sleeping over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't want that, spending the night. We don't want him spending the night here either, even on our couch. We don't want that.
What's the question for us?
Well, you know, nowadays it seems the question is, what do you think about that? Because as a mother, the millennials are different than what we are.
Yeah, but the values of God that have been around for millenniums, they're not different. So no, I would be saying to her, no. And since you want to do that, I want us to spend more time together. I want us to do some things together because I haven't adequately helped you understand the problem that this is going to cause for you now and later in life. And it's not that I'm saying no to something that you want to do. I'm trying to protect a heart that I love. And when you say that she's a daddy's girl, I don't know that daddy's girls are wanting to go at age 19 and spend the night with their boyfriends. And so I just think there are some key connection things that need to happen here so that you could get her back in line with not millennial thinking, but the thinking of the difference between right and wrong, the value of character, and the value of a person, the person that she's going to marry, which may not be this guy. Milan, you've raised a few of these. What do you think? What's the best you can do? Sure.
We adopted her at 10, and so she has experienced unspeakable harm. So that puts a whole, it's hard to give you the whole dynamic, but so there's just a lot going on. So we just said that, if she doesn't want to abide by our rules, she has to move. That's something she does when she's out on her own. She makes her own decisions.
All right. Well, let's hear Milan's take on this.
Okay, Milan, help.
I've just got a couple of minutes here, and let's hear what his take is.
Well, what kind of family therapy have you guys done to help her learn to own and embrace and resolve her trauma? If she's come from a place of unspeakable pain, then that is a major driver in her life. So is there any help that she's had?
Yes, we've had EMDR and then Dr. Amon's clinic. We've had her in youth groups at church.
Okay, so all those can be very good, but what about family therapy where the family comes together and it's not EMDR or Dr. Amon's brain clinic work, it's talking and learning to listen to each other and learning to share concerns and giving her options to embrace your boundaries as a part of really a transaction of being able to continue to stay in your home, but also understanding what's driving her into the arms of someone, and does she even aware of what is going on and why she's drawn to this person. We don't even know if he's a healthy person. And the issue is not just sleeping over at the house. It's, are they having sex together, which is a larger question. Okay. And that's a big part of the problem here. She thinks she can do whatever she wants, have sex. and it's indiscriminate. And sometimes people with an unimaginable harm do unimaginable things. In other words, if I come from a chaotic, disorganized home, my life tends to look chaotic and disorganized, which means I can be very indiscriminate in my sexual acting out, et cetera, et cetera. And I would really want to get help to help that part of her life dealing with her past and the present. Chris?
I would just affirm that, is that you've done great work in healing the brain, but it's our broken heart that needs healing, and the only way that that's going to happen is in the context of healthy, honest, graceful relationship. They got to relate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm really glad that you called, and I'm going to suggest this to you. I'm going to send How We Love Our Kids. I don't know. I think that might help you connect with her, try to connect with her in a different way. But I don't think it's ever too late. I think, the persevering spirit sometimes makes an impact on a child, even in young adulthood. I would not give up. I would not abandon what I know to be the right path for her. And if I was you, I would be suggesting to your husband, you got to spend some time with this boy. You got to spend some time with this young man and see if you could win him over to a different way of life. Well, I hope and pray that something we've said has inspired you. We have many, many things for you, many ways that we could help you. Our workshops are coming up, Workshops for Every Man's Battle. Our Life Recovery Conference is in May 18th in D.C., Intimacy in Marriage, and of course our Restore, Hope for a Woman's Heart, November the 9th in D.C. We hope that something that we have could help you maybe completely transform a relationship, your heart, help you heal, but you have to call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'll do another program on right after this, so hold on if you're hanging on the phone. Thank you, Milan. Thank you, Chris. 1-800-NEW-LIFE for help. Or if you can help us, you give us a call. We love you. We appreciate you. See you next time here on New Life Live.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.